Building an overnight success story with Lisa and Mark Novak.
Yes, yes, the overnight success that took 20 something years to build. Hey, Mark, we're talking about Novak Properties. It
Yep.
or otherwise known as the Novak Agency. Remember back in the good old days, Mark?
It was purple and gold. It
Yeah,
was
it
purple
was.
and gold, and yeah, pretty funny. How it's
It
changed.
was.
Like I even looked at something from 8 years ago and thought, wow, what a change there has been in life, in business along the way, just in 8 years. Like it's a hell of a
It's
long time.
unbelievable. But what are we talking about today, guys? We get asked a lot about how Novak started. And you know what? It's quite incredible. We just celebrated 19 years of Novak Properties, right? And it's hard to believe that it's been
18.
19 years, 18 years. You told me 19 years.
Well, it was 18
Anyway, 18 years.
plus
Okay,
one.
that'll
Always
do.
plus, always plus one.
Plus GST. So, the thing is that I think what a lot of people don't realise was, it's been a lot of blood, sweat and tears, a lot of blood, sweat and tears building
A lot.
Novak Properties
Yeah.
over the years. And, it's a business that we started, right, when we were young and fruity. How old
Yep.
were you, Mark, when you started?
23.
That's incredible. I mean, we have a 22-year-old daughter. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine her starting a business at that age. Like, it's just crazy. You're still so young, right?
Yeah. And you know
And
what?
it was
I guess sometimes you know too much as well. It's the great thing about that starting anything at that age is you just don't have the experience. You don't, which means you don't have the worries or the concerns or you just gun ho.
you don't have the fear. You're more inclined to bungee jump, I reckon, at 22 than what you are in your 40s. That's for sure. You don't have
More to
that fear factor.
lose as
No,
you get
that's
older.
exactly right. Yeah, but it
It's
was quite a
interesting.
funny
So
story. It's quite a funny story about how it all happened, right? Because obviously it wasn't something that we weren't sitting there dreaming about opening up our own real estate agency. You got fired, Mark.
yeah,
You were the number one sales agent in New South Wales. You were working at the
Australia
professionals.
in
Oh,
the
in
group.
Australia. Yeah,
In the
yeah.
group, there was 700 reps, 750 reps. It was first national, and including principals, I was number one in dollar value, and I was number one including principals, which is the owners of the businesses. Number one in dollar value, number one in volume. And I was sort of 20, 21, 22. Good life.
And I think we worked out that you were writing the equivalent today of about 4 mil, weren't you?
Well, it would have been because finished the last year or so it was like 250 quarters consecutively. So that's about $1 million in writing. What
Yeah,
20 22 years
that's
ago,
incredible.
20 years ago. So I
At
guess
that age, my God.
yeah. And what's interesting is what property values have done out there, guys. It's doubled and doubled. So going back on any records, if you look at pricing now and you look at pricing 10 year, sort of 10 years in, and then 20
Yeah.
years in, it's doubled and doubled. So that's what the industry calls a gross commission earning. That would have been if you applied that double and double, it puts you at about 4 mil now. So it's highly
Incredible.
transactional.
Absolutely. And then you got fired. So you had a fallout with your boss, who was your
Yeah,
best friend at the time. And we're going to do a very, very fast forward version of this story. But
yeah.
it was then and there that we decided, you know what, let's open our own agency. And I remember saying to you, Mark, you've managed people before, right? And you were like, no. Okay, you know about rentals and stuff? No, I'm a salesperson. Okay, all right, good. Yep, let's do it. But what you did own was you were majority shareholder of the rent roll,
Yeah,
right?
so yeah.
In
A
a
message
nutshell, we're
out
going to have to
there.
do the fast forward version.
Yeah, like the rent roll is basically a portfolio of rental properties that we look after for lots of different clients. And at that time, the business had about 500. So yeah,
So we decided that we were able to take that property management division of the business with us. So that's exactly what we did. So we went in and took it, like actually physically took the files, took the desks, took the chairs,
overnight.
and overnight, and off we went. And of course, we didn't have money to set up a business because we weren't anticipating it, and we were young. Like, who the hell has savings at that age? We were just having a ball, weren't we? Traveling and doing all that sort of stuff, working hard. You were working really hard. I remember that, 7 days a
Well,
week.
you look, it was, and I think, before starting the business, it was, great income, and bought property along the way, and lived at home for a fair period. Met the lovely
Yeah,
Lisa, and then starting the business was interesting because I think prioritization. We just looked at. I guess you have to sort of prioritize everything in life. So I remember us getting married, Lise. We couldn't afford a wedding, and our parent, and so we had a small wedding. So we had about 15 odd people, which was brothers, sisters, mums, and dads. And I remember not doing a honeymoon as well. So I don't know, it was just prioritizing because at that time it was survival of the fittest, and that was part
yeah.
of starting the business.
It's so true, right? All these sacrifices that you have to make. And I think, a lot of people see the brand now and just think that it was this overnight success story, but there's always underneath the iceberg, right? Under that tip. And, for us, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, we moved the office very quickly into the old Shakespeare's pie shop in DY. That
Yep.
was a vacant shop. We decided it was a great location, and it was a great location. It was a corner position right at a set of very busy traffic lights in DY. But the funny thing is, we went into the pie shop. I remember you ripping out a cool room, and we had no money to renovate. So we brought staff in, and there were wires hanging from the ceilings, and it stank. We couldn't afford to fill the gap between the kebab shop next door and the pie shop. So we used to have
Well,
this waft of kebabs coming through the aircon.
and I think, it was basically a ripped out pie shop. So it wasn't even a pie shop was better than our real estate agency because this was a ripped out pie shop. So there was rubbish. There was not rubbish everywhere, but we made the best we could of it. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was an interesting start because a lot of people start their business and they think it needs to be perfect, and definitely it wasn't like that with us. Like we had to run all computer cables just over the floor, so it was
yeah.
trip hazards everywhere. We had
No,
to
then we went to Office Works and bought those plastic mats to cover them so the chairs could roll over the cords. Oh,
yeah,
it's
because the
funny.
care. So it's interesting, but I think it's a good message for people starting their businesses that you don't have to. You
Yeah,
certainly don't have to be beautiful starting off. You can make it beautiful over time.
but what was cheeky when we started was we looked at all the brands that were out there. We looked at Bell, we looked at McGrath, we looked at some awesome brands. Ray White, and we were like, oh yeah, we really like their brand, but we're not going to be able to behave. We're not going to be able to do all the things that they want us to do because what we knew, and we didn't have the money to do it, but what we knew was we always wanted to be different. We definitely did not want to look like a real estate office. And we really wanted to do things differently. And don't forget, guys, we're going back now, the better half of, let's say, 20 years. Um,
Yep,
it was so
2002.
taboo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
wasn't it? It was so taboo back then.
yeah, like not putting place properties in with the windows was just an absolute crime. People just didn't understand it. But what I didn't understand was who the hell has the time to go and look in every window of every real estate when they can just flick through a newspaper. And the reality was people just weren't walking through the door saying, "Hey, I just saw this in the window." So we didn't build it. But it broke a lot of hearts. People didn't understand. But then after a while, there was that sort of everyone was like, "Yeah, right. You know what?" And then other real estate agents started following suit. So a lot of stuff at least we've had a lot of firsts in the market.
We
We
definitely have, yeah,
we've had
and
a lot.
we've also had a lot of people tell us the reasons why we can't be doing that stuff, right? Because I remember people used to walk in and say, "You're not a real estate agency. You don't even have properties in the window." And I remember our guys, our team coming to us and saying, "People are talking They don't like it. They're talking, and we said, guys, just fly the flag high because,
Yeah,
we're going to pioneer with this kind of stuff. Now, like now you walk past a real estate office with things in the window, you're like, oh, it's quite cool. Like, like remember the good old days?
yeah,
It's funny,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's so true. But it's been an amazing adventure. It's certainly, I don't know, we've called it an overnight success, and we've said that, and I mean, it's a play on words, but yeah, it's certainly 20 years. And I was even saying when we were walking this morning that, it's 27 years because, being in, ever since I left school, um, it's very close to our heart. The Northern Beaches, DY,
Yeah.
the property. My father was a real estate agent for 27 years prior to me starting in the business, and Dad retired. Then 5 years later, I chose to go into real estate. So inherently, it's been in our business in our family for 60 years. We've been in the
Yeah.
Northern Beaches for equally that amount of time. So it's been a really cool community thing, and we're always selling lease for people that that related and Serbian background and went to school with, and Northern Beaches, that community. So that's been a big thing that we've got to thank for. So I guess in a way we've supported the community a lot. Like we've put a hell of a lot of people into homes when you look at our history in real estate.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's been to stay north and not to burn. Like sometimes I think you're probably more focused than me, Lise, but I think sometimes people, you think that you want to change, like you want to change industries, or you want to just bust it, break something up, just and then rebuild it. And I think a secret that we've had in our business is just sticking to what we know, sticking to our lane.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's it, because people often will contact us and say, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on that? Like, no, no, no. We just stick to our knitting, guys. Or, do you guys want to be a part of this? Look, we're just going to stick to what we know. And that's hard to do, right? That consistency. But what's even harder
Yeah,
than that consistency is breaking ground and that disruption and innovation that we've become known for. And I can't think of a better word than saying, we've had probably courage. I was going to say we've had the balls to do it, but, we've had the courage to do it. And I've been talking about courage a lot lately, because I think, it really is a massive word, particularly all things considered at the moment. But having that courage to break through this noise of people telling you all the reasons why you can't do things this way.
yeah.
Everyone's always been quick to tell us you can't real estate that way, guys. What do you mean you've got a antipasto bar in your real estate office? For those of you guys that don't know, our real estate office now doesn't look at all like a real estate office, right? It's got a 6 meter antipasto bar. It's got an indoor garden. But that for us was not about, wanting to, have this look at me factor. It was more about the fact this is about human interaction, this industry.
And it's us. It's us.
And and it is us. Yeah, it is us.
There was something the other day I saw. 3 out of 4 people are in a job that they don't like. And
Wow.
I think so 75% of the population are in a job they actually don't enjoy and they don't like. And I think
Goodness
that
me.
a lot of people that ask us about our business and how did we do it and what we did it, I think you've got to consider that probably out of the people that ask, probably 3 out of 4 are not doing the right thing, are not in the right industry, are not in
Yeah.
in their chosen lane. So I think a big thing for us is we stayed in that 25% band. We stayed enjoying what we do, and we made sure we got out of the business. Yes, it was still real estate, but for instance, Lise, you, as part of our coming back to our overnight success, you always talked about being like a broadcaster. You didn't
A
necessarily
news
like
reporter.
technology, a news reporter. So you didn't necessarily like technology or social media, but another thing you also loved to focus on, that 25%, was real estate sales. So you actually joined two things that you loved. So I
Yeah.
think that for anyone that says, oh, how do you attribute the business over the last, from coming from where it was to where it is? I won't say it's a destination, it's a success, but I'll say that, going from 19 years ago to now, I would say sticking to our lane, and I would say just keep find in your industry or in your groove, just doing what you like. Hey,
That's the hard bit, because it's like, well, how do I know what I love? A lot of people don't know what it is that they actually enjoy. That's the
yep,
hard part. But I'm always saying to our kids, life is just like a game of snakes and ladders. Sometimes you got to climb up the ladder and sometimes you just got to fall back down again. But that, it takes you to places if you allow it to. So yeah, but we're always saying, Mark, if someone came and bought us out, that wouldn't work for us because we enjoy what we do too much. Then we're like, then what are we going to do? We're not going to retire.
look,
We enjoy it too
I
much.
yeah, and I think that, and it probably sounds awful, but I think money's always come down the rung. We never actually prioritize the money over doing what we actually want to do. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's net. I think that, so when someone comes and says we want a franchise, we want to use your name for it. Well, we've had this a lot. We want you to come on board with our franchise, and we'll offer you 10 of them. Those sort of conversations. None of it's really attractive because it's all sort of money based, and it doesn't really appeal to what we like. So it's
no,
been
that's
interesting
right,
time,
exactly.
and
And we can't
very
control.
publicly,
And we
thank you,
can't
Lisa Novak,
control.
and thank you for your support, Lise.
Oh, that's nice. My
I think
my
I
pleasure.
think I think something that we missed in the whole thing was in taking a business from naught to 100. You've got to be personally, you've got to be pretty well rounded, and I think that, yeah, having a good partner to support each other, I think is just a really big thing as well. Something that, what
Yeah.
I don't take for granted. I certainly don't take for granted, because I probably wouldn't have it. Maybe not in real estate or a business or any of that, if we didn't have that support all the way through, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? So I think it gives you
100%.
twice the power.
100%. Oh, thanks, Marky. And you know what? A lot of people always say to us, how do you guys work together? It's like, I don't know. It's honestly never been an issue. First of all, we hardly ever see each other during the day. We're both running around like maniacs. But yeah, it's certainly never, ever been an issue. And I think that's a massive part of it. I mean, I know there's Anmol there, but I know Anmol and her lovely husband, Gurdev, I know those guys work together. And that seems
Yeah,
also to just be a magical combination. My parents always worked together. So, it's like when it works, I think it truly is magical.
yeah,
But no,
and
it's certainly been a wonderful, wonderful ride.
working together also doesn't necessarily mean in the same business, but like, I think if we looked at the way that we partitioned our lives, I was like, this is my job, and I didn't have to do the other job, and this is your job, and you didn't have to do this job. So I think we never sort of crossed paths either. So part of the
Yeah,
success of the Novak brand also, I think, was that we're just very good at sticking in our lanes. Even as a couple,
yeah.
at home, we'll say, right, that's what you're doing, and then, right, okay, that's what I'm doing. We never sort of cross paths, or even,
No,
you
that's
don't sort
right.
of, or even question.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, or even second guess.
I
It's
think
like,
if we
nah,
were listing,
you've got that.
if we were listing and selling together, might be a bit of a different story. We're both pretty headstrong. We're both pretty headstrong. But no, it is. Look, it's been, it's been an awesome, awesome ride. But we never ever take for granted that there are absolutely massive trials and tribulations, without a doubt. I mean, COVID obviously got thrown at all of us, and all of a sudden we were sitting there in the face of adversity going, everything could just come tumbling right down,
Yeah,
depending
everything.
on, right, depending on what if the government just came right across and said, all right, we're freezing rents, all of a sudden you're looking head on, like a deer caught in headlights at your business going, right, all that business, all those years of working hard. But it has been years and years. It still is, Mark. We still work like Trojans.
Yeah, and you know what,
Absolutely
Lisa?
work like Trojans.
I think something that I've missed is there's a little bit of luck in there as well. Because I look at what some businesses have endured through COVID, like the cruise industry or the international travel industry. And sometimes, no matter
Yeah.
how smart, how well grounded, and what you've done, there's just that little. You still need that little bit of luck, that lady luck along the
Yeah.
way. That's a take.
Absolutely. All right. Amen to that. Guys, it certainly wasn't an overnight sensation, that's for sure.
No.
It's been, years and years and years and years and years of building good, solid foundations and, just being respectful not only of each other, but of our industry and our community and our clients and our staff. It's been an awesome ride. We certainly wouldn't be giving it up anytime soon, that's for sure.
And g'day to Haley, Amol, Luke, Julie. How are you
Morning,
guys? Thank you
guys.
for your support. But look, also,
Good morning.
it's not really about tooting our horn. We do get asked this a lot, and if we can
Yeah.
share what we know with people, and that can help 1% or 10% or whatever, anything, then that's a win as well. So we really wanted to talk about it because it wasn't a like, oh, how this is what we're how good are
Well, I think
we.
a lot of
It was more about, hey, I just want to we just want to share our experience, and if that can be applied to you guys, to any part of your life, that's great.
100%. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, sit on the, sit on the sidelines, I guess, thinking, well, it's good for those guys, they're lucky. But
Yep.
it's definitely, I know you said there's a small portion of luck in there, but I think, it's about often it's about choices as well. So,
Yep.
making good choices or bad choices, and that's with everything in life, company and partners and, the way you treat people and all sorts of things. Anyway, I've got to fly,
And there's
guys. It's been a long
there's
segment. I've got to
thousands
fly.
of those choices in a week. You went way over time, Lisa. 8 minutes over time.
It was just like
I
having
had
our
no,
normal morning conversation.
I had nothing to do with it. No, just joking. All right, take care,
See you
everyone.
guys.
Hopefully we helped you today. See you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.